here. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Let's see. So, looking at the agenda, there's no updates to the roadmap this week. We're still focused on shipping dark mode and doing all the design token stuff to ship dark mode. The one major update is we have previously been holding on pushing any major visual changes for dark mode until we have this blog post to go live. Chris has authored the blog post. He's sent it over to our marketing team to review, and they've confirmed that they'll get it live within the next week or two. So once that goes out, we can go back to shipping all of the heavy UI changes for dark mode that we want. We'll be able to send people to that blog post if they have any questions or comments about it. All right. Looking at projects, how is all the design token stuff going?
I have just put this in here because Vanessa pointed me to it this morning, which I think is a great thing, right? Like all design token, sorry, all issues for adding design tokens to pajamas components, which is a huge mouthful. All them issues have been picked up, right? Like
That's
so,
great.
this epic is certainly not done, but it's largely on the way to being done, right? There's a couple in there that um, I'd like Scott to talk about. The GL token selector is one that's not been picked up, but I have a feeling he has actually picked up from some of the
Mhm.
conversations I've had with him. It's just not reflected in the issue. So we need to figure that out. And James, I was going to say, has a load that are in review, but I think they're all merged now, right? Oh no, GL toggle still in
Um,
review.
yeah, GL Toggle I split into five parts because there was a lot of back and forth over the last couple of weeks. Um, and so I thought it'd be a lot easier to just split it up into different MRs. But yeah, it's it. Two of them are in review.
That's good. That's good. How are you feeling about the other three? Uh,
Yeah, pretty confident. One's uh um yeah, so we split it into like adding the design tokens. That's done. The next one was like in non-disabled, non-loading. That's just completed and now in review. And then the next one was for loading. And then the next was for disabled, but I combined loading and disabled because it's the same styling anyway. And that's about ready to push. And then I'll do borders, which will be a bit, it should only take a couple of days. Be done this week.
that's perfect. Thank you, James.
That's great.
Um, so yeah, I guess the TLDR is this is all on track and should be delivered in this milestone pending any scary stories from Scott tomorrow, right? Like,
Sure.
um, yeah. The other side of design tokens is the next point, I think. Ensuring GitLab CSS can make use of design
Mhm.
tokens. I'm less sure where we are on that. I don't know if James or Vanessa has anything they can share on that. I'm not sure if they can, but
Sorry, can you repeat?
ensuring GitLab CSS can make use of design tokens. So this is the other side to it, right? This is design tokens in the main GitLab project. And I think there's things in there like getting rid of the what's it called? Reboot, bootstrap styles and all of the fun
Yeah.
things that come along with that, right?
So I've been working on removing buttons.scss, but it is uh, unwieldy. Uh, I broke GitLab.com yesterday because of one of the removals, which was for like the BTN class, which is on every single button, but it was also giving styling to SVGs within that to give the height and width. So I removed that, and then there were some SVGs that were relying on that height and width, so they became very large. Problem is, it's really difficult to find which SVGs rely on this styling. Lucas and I did a mini retro on the MR, which I can add to the notes. He But I think what we'll need to do is add add a CSS attribute just for tracking and then track to see where this shows up. Um, so that's not going to be a fast removal. But otherwise, we made some good progress in working out like what is the process for removing these CSS. And what's extra good about that is I've been writing scripts to do this, and those scripts are also useful for the rest of our GitLab CSS. So in removing this, we're also cleaning up a lot of general GitLab CSS.
Oh, that's good. Having them tools to like apply that to the other things as well is going to be super helpful, right? I think there's some things we can reuse from some of the Tailwind stuff as well, the big CSS utils migrations that they did. Um, Maybe we'll see. Um, Mark is back soon. Now, soon. Next milestone at least. It's complicated, but he'll be back by next milestone. So having Mark look at this as well, would be really good. I want everyone thinking about like how can we start doing some big migrations of like these CSS classes, right? Um, and SCSS classes and whatever else it is that's using hard coded, not hard coded, but colors rather than tokens. Um, but yeah, that's where I'm thinking we should go next milestone.
It's pretty exciting, really. I think we should be able to replace like most of our CSS with utility classes, like we have already done in GitLab UI. And that should cut down on our CSS files in GitLab a, a lot. Like I don't think there'll be much CSS left, to be honest. Fingers
I'm I'm
crossed.
I'm hoping we'll be at a point where any CSS that is left is like, well, okay, why are we overriding this?
Yeah, for sure.
We can start questioning these things, right? Because in theory, any remaining CSS will be a deviation from the design
Yeah.
system.
It'll also move those overrides into the components themselves. So then the teams, when they're updating their files, they should be able to see like, why are we overriding this style? Whereas at the moment, the styling for this single component might be in 4 or 5 different places. So there's going to be some overlap. But if we can move it all into the util classes, it should make it a lot easier to reduce that overlap. If nothing else, it'll be a lot cleaner.
Vanessa, you had a point there. I think we've done these in a funny order. Do you want to talk to that point?
I also needed a minute to articulate it in the right order. So because you started with that is depending also on this reboot of Bootstrap CSS. So there is this new epic which I created last Friday-ish, which is using the vendored Bootstrap CSS. So again, we have Bootstrap CSS now vendored in GitLab UI, but we are not actively using it yet because that would be a breaking change. And I'm doing the preparations for the breaking change this week now. And our secret team member, Lucas, and I had a coffee chat, and he came up with an idea to not make it faster, but a temporary solution so it's not breaking for GitLab. And then we can finish it faster and wait for GitLab to really refactor it. And then we could kick out reboot. We can also, for example, we can also kick out reboot already in the issue 2821. It would just not have an effect yet on other repositories, but we can already work on it because it's there. And about the Bootstrap util CSS in GitLab, Peter is working on it. And I think I also saw Paul just kicking out dark mode overrides. I hope it was Paul. Maybe it was Scott. Maybe it was everybody. Just trying to get rid of dark mode overrides in GitLab already. And I think all of us are removing as many util CSS as we still can find in GitLab. And the main goal then would be that we have design tokens in GitLab CSS without hiccups.
It's very exciting.
I think something to note there as well, which you might have noticed from all the names of people who aren't in the group being mentioned. We're doing a pretty good job of like getting other people to do some of this work. Not for us, with us is probably the right way of wording that, right? Like, Lucas is not on this team. Lucas is on the other team that and same with Paul and Peter's on tenant scale. Like they're all coming from task forces and things, right? So it's good to see that too, that we're getting people excited about doing this, because I think with big migrations like this, we need to do that, right? But yeah.
Yeah, that's
Ian, you had a
awesome.
point there.
Yes, the what is this? Oh yeah, I've got one that kind of relates to what Vanessa and James were bringing up. That's the link tokens in GFM. And I think it also relates to reboot as well, if I'm remembering correctly.
Sorry, what's GFM?
GitLab flavored Markdown.
Okay.
All those styling
Yeah.
is coming from like GitLab core, right? The knowledge group owns all of that. It's not coming out of the design system as far as I can understand.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's the thing as well. We have a GL Markdown component that has all of these things all styled and stuff, but as far as I can tell, nobody uses it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It makes it so fun.
Yeah. If you look at the history of that file, there's loads of people making changes to it, and it's like not actually having an effect because it's never been consumed anywhere.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, it might be on some of the other projects, but
The Markdown?
GL Markdown component.
Yeah,
No,
Duo is using it, maybe.
Oh, is Duo using it?
Somehow.
Is
Not
that a
really.
separate
I don't-
repo then? How does that work?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think nobody actually uses the component at all.
Yeah, it's not.
At
It doesn't
least
show up in
that's-
the GitLab repo.
It is in GitLab UI in Duo, but Yannick was already
okay.
tagged, and he already, I hope I can quote it correctly with, oh yeah, we had it as a fallback, but I can actually check if we really need that fallback, if that fallback ever get executed, and will come back. So it sounds, and if so, if they would really need it, they would rather also move it with their Duo new repository out of GitLab
Yes, because
UI.
Duo's moving out, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. It didn't show up when I searched for it in the main GitLab repo because it was actually an include within GitLab UI that then gets included. Okay, that's confusing.
But also not as component, only the CSS class.
Okay.
Good times.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, I was
Migration.
referring to the components because I was talking to the people who actually own the Markdown styles right now, and they were like, yeah, we never actually started using the one coming from GitLab UI. So,
I think
which potentially means it can be removed from the design system if it's not being used, right?
Yeah, I think that was
Especially
my
because
suggestion.
it's owned by a different team anyway. So because there's a lot of duplication going on, right?
Yeah. I think just to avoid confusion as well, right? Like for people going in and trying to fix things on there and then going, oh, actually, we don't even use this. It needs to be fixed elsewhere. We can always add it back if it's a useful component in the future, but it does just
agree.
add confusion.
Yeah, like the cool thing would be that the GitLab UI version actually has like the type scale and everything included. The problem is that the product is not using that, so that means the type scale is also not applied to Markdown. But yeah, different problem. We can solve that in the product as well, so not a huge deal.
Is it just a content wrapper, like applying styles to the markdown generated by the server?
Maybe. I don't think it
So it's
actually
not trying to
renders
do,
any
it's not a
markdown.
markdown parser, basically.
I don't believe so, no. I
Okay.
think that I
No.
think the name's a bit of a misnomer. I think it's anything that it's almost like GitLab user generated content rather than specifically Markdown,
Mm,
right? Like it doesn't do anything with Markdown. It handles
yeah,
the result of that rendering, right?
I see.
Should
I
be
see.
GLHTML might be a better name for it, but let's not call it
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it does sound like something that perhaps belongs in the design system. So it may be worth conversation with knowledge on figuring out like if they agree that pajamas should own the design standards for it, how do we migrate all of the usage in the product over towards it? So we can still kick it out for the moment, right? That simplifies things about our migration to tokens, but and include this in something that we look at for next year.
Yeah, I would say kick it out and consider bringing it back, but
Yeah.
consider it with the other list of things that we want to add in, right? Like what's the
Yep.
more important one? And then when we do, or if we do decide we want to bring this in, we do still have it in version control somewhere.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. See, I think that's everything on the GitLab CSS side of things. Ian, you had something about the token search?
Yeah. So working on a proof of concept for the Figma plugin and an IDE plugin that will let users kind of search through the semantic tokens for to like pick out the token that they're looking for without having to navigate through essentially an Excel spreadsheet.
And this is a tool for designers as they're making use of
And
the tokens?
developers,
Okay. Okay.
Maybe if the IDE plugins the engineer
ideally.
side, and then Figma is, well, yeah, it's both. Figma, engineers
Yeah.
still use Figma to check things, right?
You could use it for on either end, yeah.
Okay.
But prioritizing the
Any
Figma side of things.
anyone choosing a token in design or dev is going to need, they're probably going to need some guidance here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Make sure to include that in our um, planning issue. Figma ID plugin for picking tokens. Cool. All right. So I think we've organically created quite a list here, but what else do we need to prioritize in 17.6? You can say on the design side, we'll be looking to start back into applying the dark mode vision to pajamas components. We'll be ready to do that once that blog post goes out. What else on the design or engineering side?
I had an idea of something I wanted to work on next. Um, yeah, I've been looking at the like the view shared files a lot, and trying to work out how to build storybook entries for them so they're more maintainable. But yeah, it did occur to me, I wonder if we could put on a roadmap like cleaning up the view shared files because there's a lot of cleanup to do there.
View shared, that's in GitLab core. It's not GitLab UI.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if it really counts as design systems, but it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a bit ancillary. I have seen a few folks, I don't remember his name, Akibo?
Ezekiel.
Yeah, there we go. He opened an epic about exactly this, and a
Mm.
couple of folks were talking on that. So certainly something we could, help support in collaboration with them.
So, yeah, I talked with Ezekiel quite a bit about it. And
Hmm.
yeah, I had some ideas, but I wasn't sure how to. Yeah, they're a bit off track from what we're working on. So
Yeah. All right. Um, I think that was everything on the agenda for today. Sasha, I see your question about the draft. I'll paste that link in here in a second. It's linked off of the issue, but I don't have it in front of me, so I'll send that over. Is there
Okay,
anything
thank you.
else y'all wanted to hit on today?
Sorry, there was another point that I added too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, this epic is just finishing up for removing CSS. So I wrote a script to identify CSS that I didn't think was used anywhere. And then I created issues for community contributors to remove or to audit those classes and then to remove it. And we're just about finished, or like the whole epic, everything's assigned or in review. We're almost finished with it. And we removed 918 lines of CSS. So pretty happy with that. I'm going to do a little post on LinkedIn to thank the contributors, but I just wanted to flag it.
Is that removing 918 lines of CSS without changing any HTML, right? Like it's just purely unused. That is
Yeah.
wild that's even there, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, well done on finding this and getting rid of it, right?
thanks. Yeah, I created 3 merge requests first, but it was 918 lines that just community did. But I probably did another 150, 200. But yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do like the CSS hacking you've been doing lately, James. Lots of fun scripts to clean stuff up. It's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Um, I think that's it for today then. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a great day. See y'all later.
Sure.
See you.
Bye.